So in today's video, I'm talking about codependency in relationships, 7 keys to building a lasting recovery. So in this video, you're going to learn what those key elements are so that you can have relationships that work. But if you're new, my name is Michelle Ferris and I'm a psychotherapist. So let's get started. Codependency is basically a relationship pattern where we sacrifice ourselves for other people. And in the process, you become overly dependent on others for love and validation because you don't trust yourself. So the process of codependency recovery is not something you're going to do in a matter of weeks. This is a long haul, but it doesn't mean you can't get relief quickly. And that's what I'm going to give you in this video. Because once you know what the game plan is, you're going to be able to recover faster than I did. So the process of codependency recovery is unlearning those behaviors that impact our self-esteem and create one-sided relationships. Codependency recovery is not something you can do by yourself. It's not going to be something quick, like being able to learn the skills and be done in a couple of weeks or even months. Codependency recovery is really about changing lifelong patterns. So the first key in building a lasting codependency recovery is you need to recognize that you're the one that needs to change. Because if you're like me, you're probably in a relationship with people who are dysfunctional, people who may be narcissistic or alcoholic or problematic in some way, or take advantage of you. And that's why it's really easy to point the finger at them, to think that they need to change, but really that is the wrong way to start recovery. The right way to start recovery is to realize that yes, the people you are in relationship with may be dysfunctional, but so are we. And we need to turn that focus around and focus on what we can change, which is mainly our own behaviors. Because trying to change other people hasn't worked. I know for me it hasn't worked. And if you've ever tried to change your partner or anyone else in your life, say me too in the comments. I'm right there with you. This video is going to help. Now, the next key for building a lasting codependency recovery is being willing to humble yourself. Because in our codependency, we tend to think we have everyone's answers, including ourselves. So we're not really good at asking for help. And we're really good at giving advice and fixing other people's lives and problems because that's how we learn to survive. And that's often in childhood how we got our value, by being of service to others. And while that's a lovely trait, it actually works against you in recovery because trying to help others tends to get compulsive for us. And I don't want that for you. Because part of what we need to do is we need to take care of our own needs first and then see what other people need. Because when we put everyone else's needs ahead of our own, that's what fuels the codependent behaviors and the toxic relationships. What we realize is we can't fix ourselves or other people. We actually need help. And that's why being humble is part of the recovery process from codependency. Because we have to recognize that we are no better than or less than anyone else. And often we may be in the less than position, but sometimes we feel better than. We feel like we know what other people should be doing because we're really good at it. But the problem is that that's our codependency, trying to fix other people so we feel better or we feel safe and calm. And it just doesn't work long term because healthy relationships don't require us fixing other people. They require us accepting other people for exactly who they are, just like you would want someone to do for you. Because when somebody accepts us for who we are, we feel seen and loved, and that's what I want for you. So another key to lasting recovery is creating a support system. This is key because codependency recovery is not something you can do by yourself. Sure, you can read books, you can listen to podcasts, you can watch my videos, but you're going to need a community for support at some point in your process. You're going to need encouragement. You're going to need hope from other people who are further down the path than you. And that's why I often recommend Al-Anon or Coda. Those are free 12-step programs that can help you get started. There are also paid programs if you want more expert help. Honestly, that need for support is why I included it in my codependency program. Because part of what these groups help you do is feel connected and feel like you're getting the support you need on a day-to-day basis. Because not everyone can afford therapy. Even if you do have a therapist, that's 1 hour a week. You're going to need more support. You're going to have things happen. You're going to have a relationship blow up or something happen that's really hard for you to deal with. And that support system is going to help get you through it. And that's why I'm such a big proponent in getting extra support in codependency recovery. Now, the next key for building a lasting codependency recovery is creating a relationship with a higher power of your choosing. Doesn't have to be God, it can be nature, the universe, something bigger than you. Because in our codependency, we have trouble relying on other people. And having a faith that you can go to and rely on in meditation, in prayer, can really be helpful in dealing with difficult times in life. For me, my faith in a higher power is something I've developed in my 12-step program. And that has absolutely helped me rely on something and connect to something bigger than myself that I can go to for support and comfort when I need it. Because what we don't want is we don't want to be our own higher power, because that keeps us isolated, and I don't want that for you. Now, if you have a relationship with a higher power, say me too in the comments, because that is a really key component to lasting recovery. Now, the next key for building a lasting recovery is working a 12-step program like Al-Anon or Coda, because the 12 steps walk you through the process in a very specific manner. Because trying to do things like giving up control and making amends or understanding your own behavior is really hard to do without a roadmap. And the 12 steps are going to help guide you in that process. Because in my own recovery, I have found tremendous value in working the steps in written form with a sponsor. The first step is admitting that we're powerless over alcohol and our lives have become unmanageable. That is a key component, because even though I'm not powerless over alcohol, what I do is I replace that with I am powerless over people, places, and things, because I will try to control what's outside of me in order to stay safe if I'm in my codependent behaviors. And realizing where we don't have control is a huge aspect that can provide a lot of relief in our recovery. And the 12 steps really help us do that. So another key to lasting codependency recovery is being willing to do this work for yourself, not to change or influence other people. Because as codependents, we're so hyper-focused on what other people need. Sometimes we actually do our recovery in hopes of changing someone else's behavior, getting somebody else sober, or get therapy. But it doesn't work that way. Lasting recovery means that you are here for you. That is what's going to give you the most freedom, is realizing that you deserve to feel better. You deserve to have the relationships you've always wanted. And that's what this process is going to give you. Because building up our self-esteem and self-trust is a huge part of recovery. And part of what helps us do that is our own motivation to heal ourselves, not just heal the people around us. Because if you're like me, you may be realizing that you really can't heal anyone other than yourself anyway. So the next key for lasting recovery is to find a therapist or a mentor to walk you through your codependency recovery. Because group support is great, but it's peer support. And having a trusted guide that is further along the path is going to help you work on those deeper issues. And while sponsors in 12-step programs can absolutely be a mentor, they're not going to be able to address trauma or childhood issues. So ideally, if you can have a sponsor and mentor and a therapist that specializes in codependency, then you got all your bases covered. And when looking for a therapist, I know for me, I look for someone who actually is working on their own codependency. I remember years ago, I went to a therapist. I told him why I was there. And what she said to me was, she said, well, what would your Al-Anon people tell you to do? And I thought, oh, you're not for me, because she didn't get it. I get it. I know what it's like to be in the trenches, to be codependent, be a people pleaser, not be able to set boundaries. But I also know what it's like to be on the other side of that, where I can set boundaries. My relationships are healthier. I do feel good about myself without feeling arrogant. Those are some really key attributes that you can get in your codependency recovery. So the next step, I want you to go watch my video on 12-step programs and how they relate to codependency recovery, because that's your next step. Thanks so much.